Welcome. Welcome to Advent Devotional number 11, the plan of all plans revealed through the Christmas story. The author of this devotional is Kyle Winkler. And this is going to be a bit of a mashup, the written devotional, in addition to some of my own thoughts. But I think he doesn't use this word, but I'm going to add this word, providence. Good morning. Providence. Providence is divine guidance or care. Providence is understanding or believing God as the power sustaining and guiding human destiny. And Kyle Winkler makes the connection between the Advent and the finished work of Jesus. That the focus he makes is on the placement of Advent. Now, if you have not heard devotional, I believe it's number 9 on the signs of the Advent, you will connect a little better with this one if you hear that one first. So take a few minutes, stop, listen to number 9, and then come back to this one. So he says, have you ever considered the purpose of Christmas having anything to do with victory over the enemy? And he said, most haven't, yet this is precisely what the Apostle John declared was the purpose of Jesus' arrival on earth. 1 John 3:8, the Son of God came to destroy the works of the devil. Years ago, I did a study on just the Son of God and why he came. And there's at least three references. Check that today. That's your homework. There's at least 3 references about why he came. The Son of Man came to seek and to save that which was lost. He came to destroy the works of the devil. And then there may be 1 or 2 others that are listed explicitly like that. And we usually don't connect that to Advent. And that, good morning, that is our encouragement today when we consider panoramically the work of God through Advent and the providence of God, the guidance, the care of God that's always under the surface. Then we have to consider that the Advent opens the way for our later redemption. And the placement of Advent is not accidental. Kyle Winkler says the only solution to restore something from death is to cover it with perfect life. Leviticus 17:11 says that the life of the flesh, the life of the body is in the blood, and that from the Advent, the eventual atonement came for us. He talked about the prophetic purpose of Bethlehem, how Mary and Joseph found themselves delivering our Messiah in the place that was foretold, provides perhaps the perfect example of God's faithfulness to his promise. He says, pause to marvel at the precise timing of these events. By no planning on Mary's part, nor any intent by the emperor to fulfill prophecy, Mary and Joseph are brought to Bethlehem, and while there, she goes into labor. Here's an important point. Isn't this how many of us find God's plans fulfilled in our lives? More often than not, it's the inconvenient events, frustrating circumstances, or the people who wander across our paths at the strangest moments that end up working like a divine hand to lead us right where we need to be. It'll be an agitation of some kind that will lead us right where we need to be. Bethlehem was strategically chosen to be part of the plan from the beginning. Again, I refer us to devotional number 9 on the signs of Advent, not missing any of the details of this season. And then he says, well, even the labor, Mary going into labor was strategic because labor doesn't allow much opportunity to search for alternative options. Oh, that's good. That when we are ready to deliver, when we're ready to bring forth the thing that God's been working on in us, that's been developing in us, that's been teaching us and giving us insight and direction, when that thing is ready, we want to move. But no, when it's time to be born, we are stationary in one place and we don't have time to change the plan. As the story goes, after Jesus' birth, he was placed in a manger. not the wooden kind often depicted in our modern nativity scenes, but a phante, Phante, a Greek word, which is a feeding trough for animals. It's unthinkable, he says, that the Son of the Most High, who was destined to sit on the throne of his ancestor David, was born in the humblest of places. As rough as this environment was for a birth, yet again, God used an inconvenience as a prophetic setting for Jesus' destiny. A manger, a feeding trough, is the suitable place for a lamb. And so I don't want us to overlook the placement of the details of our lives, where we work, the local churches where we serve, the families that we've been born into, whether we feel a sense of gratitude this time of year or a sense of loss, missing those who have departed. Whatever the placement of this season for us, it is not an accident. It is not haphazard. God is not random. There are the strategic events of our lives that work together. Sounds a little like Romans 8:28, doesn't it? That all things are worked together for the good of them who love God and are the called according to their purpose. And so he says this is the plan of all plans. Could the details of the Christmas story be the product of mere coincidence? Hardly, he says. The account is packed with prophetic pictures, all pointing to the plan of all plans that God established long before creation began. And that's what I want us to consider today. Go through this day taking a look at everyone and everything in your life with fresh eyes. Go through it saying, okay, I know I'm trying to get from here to there. And I look at everything as a process getting me from here to there. But what if all of these processes running simultaneously, running concurrently, are all leading me to the plan of all plans for me? What if this wonderful insight and this peace that I finally come to about this frustrating place where I am is not even the end? What if God has a plan for this frustrating place toward the plan of all plans? Think bigger. Think bigger. Back up from it. Don't get so close to it and look at all of it. This really is a time to reflect and put everything into perspective. Kyle Winkler says it is a praise-provoking picture. Isn't that good? A praise-provoking picture that God looked down upon his once perfect, now fallen creation to see a people in darkness drudging through brokenness. He saw our pains of sickness, our disability, the wounds of our failed relationships and our separated families, the shame of promiscuity and our regrettable acts. And God grieved over the sad state that he never wanted, but one that was the result of the works of the devil. Then God did something about it. He implemented his plan. It may seem hard to reconcile, but it's true. The Advent account foretells the plan of he who became our final sacrificial lamb in order to destroy the devil's works and the ultimate consequence of them, which was separation from God. So I'm here to tell us that we don't need to wait until our resurrection day on the calendar to be grateful for the redemptive work of Christ. In his birth is his death. In his birth is his destiny to redeem us. In his advent, in his coming, in his reveal, in his Emmanuelness, his God with usness, he has already made provision for the plan of all plans in our lives. So I want you to think bigger. I want you to back up from your life in a way that you can reflect and that you can say, you know what? He was here, he was here, he was here. He's here now, and he is coming. to the future places of inconvenience and frustration. And he's going to use those. And I want us to shift something in our thinking, that when something comes up that grates us, when it's an agitation, when it's a frustration, when it's something that is so not a part of the plan, and we're rolling our eyes and going, oh Lord, I had other plans for today. I had other plans for this money. I had other plans for my gift. I was really wanting to move there. I really thought I would get this position. I thought all of this would come through. All of these plans that we had, all of this stuff that we put in play. And I get it. Many are the plans of a man's heart, but it's the Lord's purpose that prevails. And so I want us to consider in Advent that when we see a frustration coming, we start to laugh. Let's retrain our response to frustration and inconvenience. That we can grin a little, that we can start to grin at that thing and say, okay, Lord, I'm looking for you in it. So that's our challenge. That's our challenge. That to see the plan of all plans, we have to consider the bigger picture. And so that's what I want you to look at today. When you get to work, when you get to whatever your plan is to do for today, if you're off, God bless you. I'm low-key jealous, but that's okay. But whatever your plan is today, I want you to begin to start preparing yourself for the inconvenience. Start preparing yourself for frustration. Not looking for the next shoe to drop, but so calm and so rooted in the perfect plan of God for us and our participation in his bigger plan, that when an inconvenience shows up, when we're delayed, when we're really on a schedule and then a delay pops up, those strategic inconveniences and frustrations, that we'll begin to back up and go, okay, I need to pause and look for God here. I need to look for a message here. I need to look for a sign, an insight. I need to look for wisdom to come, because he's going to work in it like he worked in all of the details of the Advent. Advent is not this romanticized thing that we have made it. Advent was real life. Advent was rough. Advent had some ugly parts to it. That stable didn't smell like, Lysol. It wasn't a sanitized environment. The Lord of all creation in flesh was in a feeding trough. What? And so if we get slighted, if we get put in situations or in circumstances that are literally below us, they are insulting almost, they're disrespectful, let's not rise up too quickly. But let's take a step back and let's see if God is trying to move us to a place or get us somewhere that plays into the larger plan. All right? Think on these things today. Have a wonderful day.